Hey guys, Jay here, and we have some interesting tidbits about Marvel's Gameverse and how it came to be with the heads of Marvel and Insomniac Games on like how did all this happen. And it was pretty cool, and it also touches upon the fact, are Marvel's Avengers by Crystal Dynamics and Marvel's Spider-Man connected in the same universe or not? They go into that a little bit too. This all started with Bill Roseman, who is the vice president and head of creative at Marvel Games, who is quoted saying that they always believed in the power of video games. He's basically like the Kevin Feige of the Marvel universe, but for the gaming division. We're happy that more people than ever are discovering, even though you may be physically in a different area, that games can bring you together and create connections. Seemingly when Bill came along, he treated this as phases, to coin a term from the MCU, in which finally gives fans a playable Marvel adventure on a big console platform. That's why they chose Spider-Man, because of earlier attempts to make those games a reality to that scale, they never panned out compared to the canceled Avengers game that was supposed to come out at the time of the Avengers movie release. And we saw what came of that, which was an interesting take on the Avengers, where it was a 4-player co-op adventure game that was first person. Kind of weird, but you know, it had some potential to the canceled Daredevil game that you can probably see on YouTube if you wanted to look at what could have been. As for the 2018 release of Marvel's Spider-Man, finally was greenlit because it was all about timing for Roseman. It's about what talent is available at the time. Do they want to work with Marvel? If so, what's their passion? When you have all those things aligned, that's when you can create something great. Speaking of Spider-Man, John Paquette, the lead writer on Marvel's Spider-Man, also noted that one of the mantras that they had at the studio was to design an experience that felt like you were playing a Marvel movie. And that idea spawned the creation of, instead of having like what most video games do, put you in the shoes of an inexperienced Spider-Man learning the ropes, they wanted to tell a little bit different kind of story where instead of it being an inexperienced Spider-Man, it was an experienced Spider-Man who had about 5 to 7 years of experience battling the baddies of New York City. And they didn't know if this was going to work, but once it became one of the best-selling superhero video games of all time, selling over 13 million units, because for the most part, you don't really know what's going to happen, and you have this fear of screwing up one of Marvel's most popular superheroes. But when you see celebrities like Lin-Manuel Miranda and LeBron James begin sharing images from the game on social media, you know that you reached another level. Insomniac Games didn't think they'd get a sequel, but they wanted Miles Morales to be one of those stingers for the potential of there being one. And once they got the critical success from Marvel's Spider-Man, that's when Sony bought the studio, Insomniac Games, and they knew what they could do to make a sequel / spin-off, Spider-Man Miles Morales. And this is his story, where it's gonna have a heart just like its predecessor, but unlike Peter's, which his heroic story birthed out of tragedy, Miles' hero story is gonna be born out of family. As for one of the major questions that they get all the time, is Marvel's Spider-Man and Marvel's Avengers in the same gaming universe? No, they are not. They are two separate universes in the Marvel multiverse, and they didn't want to do this because both developers don't want to follow an overarching story that doesn't fit with what they're trying to do in each title. So that's why Crystal Dynamics is going to make their own version of Spider-Man with the help of Insomniac Games when need be, but they're not going to be connected at all. So that seems like it's the right choice to go with, because you know, you don't want two different types of story beats going on at the same time and they're not incongruent with how the character grows, be it Miles or Peter as Spider-Man in those video games. The only consistency I can see going forward with both video games and other multimedia going forward is the voice acting, for the most part, where Yuri Linthal has voiced Peter in about 3 games so far: Marvel's Spider-Man, Ultimate Alliance 3, Spider-Man Miles Morales, while Najit Jeter has voiced Miles in Ultimate Alliance 3, most of the cartoons, and in Marvel's Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales. So this is what you're probably going to get some consistency. Hopefully you'll get Yuri in Marvel's Avengers when Spider-Man does come out, when they announce him. In the comments below, tell me your thoughts on how Marvel is treating their games division like the MCU, where they want to find the best developer for the game. But with that being said, stay safe guys, and I'll see you on the next one.
Hit that subscribe button. Come on, I know you wanna.